In 2023 and 2024, something extraordinary began unfolding in the Black Sea. A country with almost no traditional navy was suddenly pushing back one of the world's largest fleets. Not with destroyers, submarines, or aircraft carriers, but with drones. Small, autonomous sea drones, packed with explosives, started hunting Russian warships across the region, forcing the Black Sea Fleet to reposition major vessels, rethink patrol patterns, strengthen harbor defenses, and adapt to an entirely new type of maritime threat. It was one of the clearest signs yet that naval warfare was beginning to change in ways many militaries had not fully anticipated. For more than a century, sea power was largely defined by size and concentration of force. Bigger ships carried bigger guns, larger missile inventories, stronger radar systems, and eventually entire air wings. Naval dominance became synonymous with massive platforms like aircraft carriers, cruisers, and destroyers that projected power across oceans. But the Black Sea conflict exposed a dangerous new reality. Relatively inexpensive autonomous systems could now threaten billion-dollar naval assets in ways that were once unimaginable. That realization is now reshaping military thinking far beyond the Black Sea itself. Quietly, the United States Navy has started restructuring parts of its future fleet around the idea that the next era of naval warfare may depend less on a handful of giant warships and more on distributed autonomous networks. Instead of concentrating combat power into a few heavily defended platforms, the future fleet may increasingly rely on autonomous surface vessels, robotic underwater hunters, AI-enabled scouting systems, distributed sensor networks, and attritable maritime drones designed to overwhelm adversaries through scale, persistence, deception, and distributed lethality. For the first time in its history, the United States Navy is officially integrating unmanned vessels directly into its long-term shipbuilding strategy. And if this transformation succeeds, it could fundamentally redefine how sea power is generated in the 21st century. Because the next great naval fleet may not look like a traditional fleet at all. It may look more like a network. Vast, autonomous, interconnected, and far harder to destroy. You first have to understand the problem the US Navy is trying to solve. For most of the post-Cold War era, the United States operated under overwhelming naval superiority. Carrier strike groups could move almost anywhere on the planet with relatively little resistance. American destroyers controlled critical sea lanes, and US submarines dominated the undersea environment. Most adversaries simply lacked the capability to challenge the Navy at scale. But that era is beginning to fade. China is now expanding its naval power at a pace the United States cannot easily match through traditional shipbuilding alone. And the challenge is no longer just about aircraft carriers or individual warships. It's about quantity, industrial scale, and the changing character of maritime warfare itself. That is exactly why the Navy's strategic thinking is starting to change. Instead of relying solely on a smaller number of highly advanced and increasingly expensive platforms, the Navy is moving toward what it describes as a high-low force structure. A fleet where major capital ships still play a critical role, but are increasingly supported by large numbers of autonomous systems. What makes this shift especially important is that the Navy is no longer treating unmanned systems as experimental side projects. For years, many autonomous maritime programs looked more like technology demonstrations searching for a clear mission. But now, even the Navy's own planning documents openly acknowledge that earlier unmanned efforts were too focused on experimentation and failed to meaningfully expand fleet capability. That is a significant admission because it signals the transition from simply testing robotics to actively restructuring naval combat power around them. And this is no longer theoretical. The shift is already visible in procurement and budgeting. The Navy is planning to invest billions of dollars into medium unmanned surface vessels, or MUSVs, alongside extra-large unmanned underwater vehicles, known as XLUUVs. These are not distant future concepts sitting in research labs decades away from deployment. They are entering procurement now, becoming part of the actual fleet architecture the Navy expects to fight with in the years ahead. Unlike traditional warships, which are usually designed around a relatively fixed mission profile, the MUSV is built around modularity and adaptability. According to Navy planning documents, these vessels are intended to carry swappable containerized payloads, allowing them to be rapidly reconfigured depending on operational needs. That may sound like a technical detail, but strategically, it is a major shift. Instead of building one ship for one role, the Navy could potentially transform the same autonomous platform into completely different mission packages, depending on the situation. That flexibility matters because modern warfare evolves extremely quickly. Fixed-purpose platforms can become strategically rigid, especially when threats change faster than procurement cycles. But a modular autonomous vessel can adapt alongside the battlefield. And importantly, the Navy does not envision these systems operating in isolation. MUSVs are expected to deploy alongside destroyers, frigates, carrier strike groups, expeditionary formations, and potentially as independent distributed assets operating far from manned fleets. That last point is especially important because autonomous systems fundamentally change how commanders think about risk. Sending a billion-dollar destroyer with hundreds of sailors into a heavily contested choke point is an enormous decision with strategic, military, and political consequences. But sending an unmanned vessel into the same environment becomes a very different calculation. This is what the Navy increasingly means when it talks about attritable combat power. Systems that are still operationally valuable, but not so irreplaceable that commanders become paralyzed by the fear of losing them. But the real nightmare for future naval warfare may not unfold on the surface at all. It may happen beneath it, in the undersea domain, which is rapidly becoming one of the most important and contested battle spaces of the 21st century. According to the Navy itself, it is also one of the most difficult environments for autonomous warfare. The ocean is extraordinarily hostile to unmanned systems. Communication underwater is severely limited. GPS signals do not function beneath the surface. Acoustics become distorted. Navigation grows increasingly complicated, and even detecting objects in the undersea environment is a constant technical challenge. In many ways, underwater warfare remains one of the least visible and least understood forms of combat, which is precisely why it is becoming so strategically important. At the center of that effort is the XLUUV, the extra-large unmanned underwater vehicle. These are not small hobby-style underwater drones or disposable robotic devices. They are essentially robotic submarines, autonomous underwater systems capable of conducting persistent intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions, seabed mapping, mine warfare, sensor deployment, payload delivery, and covert patrol operations over extended periods of time. Strategically, this matters enormously in regions like the Indo-Pacific, where geography dominates military planning. The distances across the Pacific are immense. The maritime choke points are narrow and strategically critical, and the battle space itself is becoming saturated with sensors, surveillance systems, and long-range precision weapons. The United States faces a difficult reality. Traditional shipbuilding is slow, enormously expensive, and concentrated among a relatively small number of massive shipyards responsible for producing aircraft carriers, destroyers, and submarines. Those shipyards remain critical to American sea power, but the Navy increasingly understands that it cannot scale large autonomous fleets using the same acquisition culture and industrial model that built Cold War-era capital ships. Now, the Navy is moving toward a model built around rapid iteration, commercial adaptation, mission-driven requirements, competitive testing environments, and production-ready systems. In practice, that means companies are increasingly expected to bring functioning capabilities directly to the Navy, which then evaluates those systems in operational gauntlets designed to test real-world performance. Successful designs can then move far more quickly toward procurement and deployment. In many ways, the approach resembles Silicon Valley's fast-moving technology culture much more than the traditional defense procurement system the Pentagon operated under for decades. Autonomous warfare evolves too quickly for 20-year acquisition cycles. Software changes rapidly. Sensor technology advances constantly. AI systems improve continuously. And unmanned platforms can become outdated far faster than traditional warships. The Navy is therefore trying to create not just autonomous fleets, but an acquisition ecosystem capable of evolving alongside the technology itself. And that ambition connects directly to another major strategic concern: the industrial base. The Navy openly describes unmanned shipbuilding as an opportunity to revitalize smaller Tier 2 and Tier 3 shipyards across the United States. That matters because autonomous fleets may eventually allow naval production capacity to expand beyond the handful of giant shipyards currently responsible for building major combatants. In other words, ghost ships are not simply changing how wars at sea might be fought. They may also change who builds American naval power in the first place. One of the most important ideas hidden inside this entire strategy is not technological at all. It is psychological. For decades, the US military built its doctrine around preserving high-end platforms because losing even a single major warship could carry enormous strategic consequences. An aircraft carrier is not just a combat platform. It represents billions of dollars, thousands of sailors, national prestige, political symbolism, and a huge concentration of military power in one place. The same logic shaped destroyers, submarines, and other major naval assets. Survivability became the central principle of force design because the cost of losing these platforms was simply too high. That transition is already beginning. The investments are growing, the doctrine is evolving, procurement strategies are changing, and autonomous systems are steadily moving from the edge of naval planning toward the center of it. And somewhere inside that transformation, perhaps without most people fully noticing yet, the age of the ghost fleet has already begun.